Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, going to discuss the what's next on former longtime WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder following his tough 11th round knockout loss to Tyson Fury in their third fight to end and settle the score. You know, quick recap of the fight. If you didn't see it or you didn't read up on it, you know, it was good. Deontay came out, boxed into the body, looked good early. You know, Tyson Fury took the fight in the second round, put Deontay down in the third round, almost had him out. Then Deontay responded in the fourth round and put Fury down twice and almost knocked him out. After that, you know, Fury looked like he just was outworking and outworking and outclassing Deontay. But Deontay showed a lot of heart. He stayed on his feet. He showed a ton of heart and kept fighting. But after another knockdown in the 9th or 10th round, he looked like his power was gone and he wasn't going to make it. And in the 11th round, Tyson Fury landed a monster right hand that put him, face planted Deontay Wilder, put him down for good. And Tyson Fury left no doubt with this knockout win as he retained his WBC heavyweight championship and is now, you know, moving on. So no need for a fourth fight, but Deontay said that he broke his right hand during the fight. He's going to have surgery, and they're talking about him coming back towards the middle of next year. That means he's going to continue fighting for the most part, most likely, and I think that's great. I really do think that's awesome. So the big question now is what's next for Deontay Wilder, though? Who does he fight? When does he fight them? I really believe it's going to be the second half of 2022 when he returns to the ring. And, you know, I don't know if Deontay wants to get right back in the mix and fight a top 10 guy or he wants to fight a nobody. But let's take a look at what could be possible in the top 10 for him. You know, number one, Tyson Fury, the fourth fight. Not going to happen. Fury's just not going to be interested in this fight. And he might not ever be interested in this fight, and he has every right to that. Because essentially, Deontay's lost 3 fights to Tyson Fury. And 2 by knockout now. And 1 by a faceplant knockout. So, really isn't going to be... Tyson Fury's not going to be an option in the second half of next year. He's just not. Number 2, Alexander Usyk, the unified heavyweight champion of the world. I don't see this one. Usyk is going to almost for sure rematch Anthony Joshua. That fight could go either way, but if Usyk beats him, he's probably going to have mandatories due, or he's going to be interested in a showdown with Tyson Fury in the second half of next year. So I'm not seeing Deontay fighting him. Number 3, Anthony Joshua. I don't see it. And the reason why, by this time next year, Anthony Joshua is either going to be a 3-time heavyweight champion and he's going to have mandatories due, or a showdown with Tyson Fury, or he's going to lose to Usyk in a rematch, and we might not see him fight at all in the second half of the year. And people might not be all that interested in Joshua and Wilder if Joshua loses again to Usyk. So I just don't see these two guys locking up in 2022. Okay, number 4 is Deontay Wilder. I still got him ranked in the top 5. Number 5 is Dillian Whyte, though. You know, I don't know. Dillian Whyte, I think he's going to beat Otto Wallen. It's not going to be easy, but I think he's going to beat him at the end of October. And I think he's going to lock himself up a mandatory showdown with Tyson Fury. And if he beats him, I mean, first off, I don't think he beats Tyson Fury. I can't see that happening. But if he were to upset Tyson Fury, knock him out, and there's no rematch clause in the contract, would he be interested in a showdown with Deontay Wilder in the second half of the year? To be honest, I don't think so. I think he's going to, if Dillian Whyte is still victorious by that point, I think he's going to want to position himself for a showdown with a rematch with Anthony Joshua if Joshua's a unified champ, or Alexander Usyk, which is an easy fight to make because they're both with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. So, yeah, I just don't see Deontay being an option. I mean, if Whyte is coming off a loss, though, to Tyson Fury, which I think is very likely, would he want to fight him then? Maybe. It depends on how he loses. But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see these two guys talk shit because they're heavy hitters. They talk a lot of shit. I'd love to see him fight, but I'm leaning towards the no with this one being a possibility. Number 6, Andy Ruiz Jr. It depends on if Andy Ruiz is still winning at that time, you know, and what he's looking at next. You know, Andy Ruiz, it's a makeable fight because they're both PBC guys. It really is, but Andy Ruiz is going to fight likely before the end of the year. And then, you know, I don't know if that's going to be against Luis Ortiz or whoever, but the fight could be possible. I wouldn't be surprised if that fight got made. I think that's a big fight between two big heavyweights that are, you know, with big names. And I think to climb back in the picture, I think they would, it's a crossroad fight that we thought could happen earlier this year. And I think if they do it next year, it'd be a good way for one of these guys to get back into the title hunt, you know, and all that. And it's a sellable fight. It's a fight that both guys would make a lot of money. So, yeah, I think this fight would be possible as long as Andy Ruiz doesn't lose again. If Andy Ruiz loses to Luis Ortiz, you can probably take this fight off the table because I don't think he's going to want to fight Deontay. But you never know. Deontay's got a huge name. All right, so number 7 is Luis Ortiz, which would be a third fight for Deontay. I don't see it. Even if Luis Ortiz were to beat Andy Ruiz, I don't think Deontay is going to go there. He doesn't have to. He's knocked Ortiz out twice. There wouldn't be any reason for him to fight Ortiz a third time, no matter what, unless Ortiz had a world title, which he doesn't. So, yeah, I'm not seeing that one. Number 8 is former champion Joseph Parker. You know, Parker's fighting Derek Chisora in December. I think he's going to beat Chisora more convincingly in that fight. But then I think because Parker's not going to be a guy guys are going to line up to try to fight. So I think Parker's going to try to put himself in a final eliminator after that, either for the WBO or the IBF titles, and face somebody. But it's kind of a bad style matchup for Deontay if Deontay can't knock out Parker early. And Parker does know how to stay away from power shots. So I'm not saying it's totally not possible. I just don't think it's the right style matchup that Deontay is going to want to face in his first fight back. So I'm not seeing it. Number 9. Right now I still have Michael Hunter at number 9. You know, I wouldn't rule this one out. I think Michael Hunter wants a big fight. He wants to make a name for himself. He's a hittable guy. I mean, I think Deontay would be smart to take a top 10 guy like Michael Hunter and get his ass out of there quick. I think it's a good matchup for Deontay. So I wouldn't completely rule it out. I think it's possible. I have a 3-way tie for 10th. Derek Chisora. I think Chisora is going to lose the rematch to Joseph Parker. I think Chisora would totally fight Deontay, and it might be a good opponent with a big name. But would Deontay want to come back against a guy like Chisora? Not sure, but I think it'd be a good big name to get on his list, so I wouldn't completely rule it out. But coming off a loss, but that doesn't seem to bother Chisora. But when is Chisora finally going to have enough? You know? So it's just one of those fights that I could see happening, but I'm not going to totally say, you know, it's a possibility. And Joe Joyce is next. I think Joe Joyce's position, I don't think it's a fight Deontay wants in his first fight back. Too risky. Joe Joyce is getting back into the mix, or getting into the mix. He's into the title hunt, and I think he's focused on that too. So I'm not seeing that one. And then final option is Otto Wallen. I don't think it's a good option for Deontay whether Wallen beats Dillian White or loses to Dillian White. If he loses, it wouldn't make sense. It's a southpaw boxer who gave Tyson Fury a hard time. And if he were to beat him and then have to fight Tyson Fury in a rematch and lose, is that the kind of fight that Deontay wants to have coming back? I just don't see it. So I wouldn't be surprised either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Deontay wants to come back and take on a nobody, you know, maybe face a couple of them in 2022 before he really gets back into the mix in 2023. But, you know, if it's a top 10 guy, I think Andrew Ruiz would be the most likely option if he's there. And I think the PBC might try to set it up that way. But other than that, I mean, there's not a lot of other, like, oh, yeah, for sure options in the top 10 that are possible. So I think Deontay, I think Andy Ruiz Jr. would be a prime opponent for him. I think he'd be the favorite going in if Andy Ruiz is still winning by the time June, July come around for next year and Deontay's ready to get back in the ring. So we'll see what happens, but that's the what's next on former longtime WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you may hit with the truth.